Rain blurred the streetlights into pale halos as Officer Ryan Hales stepped out of his patrol car. The boy, thin, hooded, no more than 16, was standing near a corner store, backpack slung over one shoulder, face hidden in the drizzle. Ryan's jaw tightened. He'd seen this picture too many times, or so he told himself. "Hey, hands where I can see them." The boy turned, startled. His name was Malik. He'd been walking home from tutoring, earbuds still dangling from his hoodie. I didn't do anything, sir." Ryan's flashlight cut through the dark. "You," matching a suspect's description. A pause, a heartbeat. Then, Ryan's voice hardened. "Don't move." Malik stepped back, instinctively raising his hands, but the slick pavement betrayed him. Ryan shoved him against the squad car, his knee pinning the boy's shoulder. A crack of pain, a crowd forming. "Please, I'm just walking home." Ryan's breath came fast, the smell of rain and asphalt sharp in his nose. "Save it." Then, out of nowhere, a woman's voice screamed from the other side of the street. "Ryan, stop." He froze. The voice belonged to his mother, Helen Hale, standing under a broken umbrella. Her face was pale, eyes locked on Malik. Ryan turned, confusion clouding his anger. "Mom, what are you doing here?" Her lips trembled. She looked between the officer and the boy, her voice cracking under the weight of a secret long buried. "Ryan, ... that's your brother." The flashlight slipped from his hand, clattering against the wet pavement. The boy stared back, breath ragged. Rain kept falling. No one moved. Ryan's voice turned ice. "You hid my brother from me for 16 years. I tried to bring him home later," she said, eyes glistening, "but the foster system lost contact. I didn't know he was here until last month. I was going to tell you both together." Ryan stood up, knocking over his chair. "You don't just lose a child, Mom. You don't just." A knock at the door cut through his rage. Two officers stood outside, Captain Dawson and an internal affairs representative. "Officer Hale," Dawson said, eyes cold and formal. "You're placed on temporary administrative leave pending review. Hand over your badge and firearm." Ryan stiffened. "You can't. It's protocol," Dawson said flatly, "and it's already on every news channel." Ryan hesitated, then unclipped his badge and set it on the table. Metal clicked against wood. "Final. Humiliating." Helen's voice cracked. "Please, Captain. It was a misunderstanding, ma'am," Dawson said, not looking at her. "The video shows excessive force. The department needs distance." Ryan stepped out into the rain again, the same street where everything had started. A reporter shouted, "Officer Hale, did you know the victim?" Flashbulbs burst. He didn't answer. Inside the patrol car, Dawson turned to him. "You want my advice? Lawyer up and shut your mouth." Ryan stared through the windshield. "That kid Malik, he's not." "He can't be," Dawson shrugged. "Whether he is or isn't, it doesn't matter. Puffick sees a racist cop. That's the story now." The words hit like a slap. Ryan, the man who thought he kept the peace, was now the villain in every headline. By evening, protesters had gathered outside the precinct. Hand-painted signs, "Justice for Malik," "End police bias," "We're not your suspects." Inside a small apartment across town, Malik scrolled through the footage in disbelief. His shoulder still ached. The bruise darkened under the cold light. Helen had called him a dozen times. He ignored them all. His foster mother, Evelyn, stood behind him. "You don't have to watch that again, sweetheart." "I do," Malik said quietly. "I want to see his face." The moment he realized I wasn't who he thought I was, Evelyn sighed. "And what then?" "I don't know." Malik's voice broke. "He didn't even see me as human." There was a long silence. Then Evelyn said, "Maybe he'll have to now." The next morning, Ryan's house was surrounded by cameras. His face stone cold, sleepless, flashed on every news banner. Inside, Helen sat by the window, hands clasped, whispering prayers that never seemed to end. On TV, the police chief gave a statement. "The department condemns all acts of excessive force. Officer Hale is under review. The young man, Malik Williams, is receiving care and legal support." Ryan turned off the screen. Helen looked at him, her voice small. "What are you going to do?" He stared at his reflection in the black TV. "Find out if I'm really the monster they think I am." Outside, the chants grew louder. "Justice for Malik." And for the first time, Ryan couldn't tell if they were wrong. The house was suffocatingly silent, the kind of silence that settles after a storm, heavy and waiting. Ryan sat across from Helen at the kitchen table, a stack of old manila folders spread between them. Adoption records, hospital forms, photocopies yellowed with time. He skimmed the names, his jaw tightening. Malik Elijah Williams, date of birth, the same hospital he was born in. Helen's voice was barely above a whisper. He was just a baby. Ryan, you were a child. I didn't think you'd understand why I brought him home. After your father's death, I needed to replace him. Ryan's tone was flat, lethal. Helen flinched. No, I needed to keep love alive somehow. You both deserved better than my grief. Ryan shoved the papers away. And 16 years later, I assault my own brother in the street because I thought he didn't belong there. The words stung even him. The truth was too raw to soften. Helen's eyes filled. You didn't know. I should have. Rain slicked the street as the patrol cruiser rolled past dim storefronts. Officer Ryan Hale tapped the steering wheel, restless. The neighborhood was quiet, too quiet for a Friday night. His eyes caught movement. A boy in a gray hoodie, standing near a corner store, shoulders hunched. By Ryan slowed. The boy didn't notice him. He was checking his phone, earbuds dangling. Ryan's voice cut through the rain. Hey, you hens, where I can see them. The boy turned, startled. Me? Yeah, you. What are you doing out here this late? Just walking home. Ryan stepped closer, flashlight up. The beam caught Malik's brown eyes, wide and confused. Where's home? Ryan asked sharply. You are down the street. Ryan's grip tightened on his flashlight. That's 3 blocks past curfew. Malik frowned. Curfew. I just came from tutoring. Save it. Ryan reached for his radio. Got a suspect. I'm not a suspect. Malik's voice cracked. I'm just. Turn around. Ryan barked, louder now. Hands on the car. Malik hesitated. Ryan shoved him forward, metal met cheek. The sound echoed under the streetlight. Please, Malik said, voice shaking. You're hurting me. Ryan's jaw clenched. The rain beat harder. A couple across the street stopped walking, phones out. Ryan barely noticed. Stop resisting, he muttered. I'm not resisting. The words sliced through the storm, too human to ignore. For a split second, Ryan saw himself not the officer, but the man. Then Ryan. His mother's voice cut through the chaos. He turned. Helen Hale stood there, umbrella trembling. Mom. She looked from Malik to him, horror dawning in her eyes. Double quotes. Ryan. Stop, please. That boy, she gasped. He's your brother. Ryan froze. The world tilted. His radio crackled uselessly in his hand. Malik turned his head, confused and bleeding. Rain drowned the silence. The video hit the internet before sunrise. A bystander had caught everything: the shove, the struggle, the look on Malik's terrified face, and the woman's scream that ended it all. By 8 a.m., it was everywhere. White officer assaults black teen without cause. Ryan Hale's badge number was trending. He sat at his kitchen table, uniform half on, phone buzzing nonstop. Messages flooded his inbox, half insults, half from fellow officers telling him to stay strong and don't apologize to the mob. He turned off the phone. The silence was worse. Helen stood in the doorway, robe pulled tight. Her eyes were red from crying. They've already contacted me, she said softly. Reporters, they want a statement. Ryan rubbed his temples. Then, tell them nothing. It's being investigated. It's being watched. Ryan, she snapped. The whole city saw you throw that boy into your car. That boy, who you now know. Stop. His voice was low but sharp. I don't even know what that means yet. You dropped that bomb in the middle of chaos. What do you expect me to do? Believe that instantly. Helen's hands trembled. Because it's true. His name is Malik Williams, but it was supposed to be Lay. Ryan looked up slowly. Explain. She took a long breath. After your father died, I was... lost. I volunteered at a shelter, and there was this infant Malik. He'd been abandoned. I adopted him privately through the church. You were 7. I thought you'd hate me for replacing him, so I kept him with a foster family until I could figure things out. He pushed away from the table and stormed toward the front door. Where are you going? She called. To find him. Across town. Malik sat with a social worker in a quiet office. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. A laptop screen showed a paused frame, Ryan's hand gripping his shoulder. Malik, the woman said carefully. The department wants to make sure you're safe. They've offered to cover your counseling and medical expenses. Malik scoffed. They think that'll fix it. The woman hesitated. He's been placed on leave. There will be a hearing. You'll have the chance to testify if you want to. Malik looked out the window at the busy street. Cars passed. Normal life moved. But his didn't feel normal anymore. I'll testify, he said finally. He needs to see what he did. The social worker nodded slowly. Then we'll prepare your statement. That night, Rain fell again. Ryan parked outside the foster home, headlights cutting through the wet dark. He saw Malik through the window, shoulders tense, eyes fixed on the TV. He stepped out and approached the door. Evelyn answered, worry. You've got some nerve showing up here, she said. I'm not here as a cop, he replied quietly. I'm here as what? She interrupted. The man who threw him on the hood of a car. Ryan took the blow. As his brother. Evelyn's eyes narrowed, searching his face for deceit. She didn't find any. Wait here. She disappeared into the house. Moments later, Malik appeared in the doorway. His expression was unreadable. Ryan spoke first. I didn't come to defend myself. Good, Malik said, because there's nothing to defend. The two stared at each other. The officer and the boy, the man in the mirror he didn't know he had. The next morning, Ryan drove to the precinct to meet his lawyer. Reporters crowded the steps again, calling his name, demanding statements. He ignored them. Inside, the walls felt colder, faces sharper. Colleagues who once greeted him with nods now turned away. His lawyer, a calm woman in her 50s named Carmen, slid a folder across the desk. They're moving fast, she said. Public pressure is intense. They're making an example out of you. Typical, Ryan muttered. Carmen didn't look up. You'll have to speak. The board wants remorse, not excuses. Ryan frowned. What if I mean it? Then say it like you do. That night, Malik couldn't sleep. The rain drummed against the window, steady as a heartbeat. He reached for his phone, scrolling past hundreds of messages. Strangers praising his courage, others using his story for their own agendas. But one message stopped him. It was from Helen. Please come see me. We need to talk. I owe you both the truth. He hesitated, then locked the phone and lay back, eyes open in the dark. The truth was coming, but truth never arrived clean. And neither of them would walk away untouched. Malik turned away, breathing hard. What happens next is he gets what everyone else gets when they do something wrong. Consequences. Ryan nodded slowly. If that's what it takes. He reached into his jacket and set something on the table. His badge. Internal affairs will decide what to do with me, but whatever happens, I'll face it. Malik stared at the badge, the symbol that had once terrified him. You know what's funny? I used to think BAFTAs meant safety. Ryan's eyes darkened. So did I. The room fell quiet again. Then Evelyn said softly, you both have the same eyes, same stubbornness, too. Maybe that's what'll save you. Neither of them answered. The City Hall auditorium smelled faintly of coffee and disinfectant. The kind of sterile blend that tried to wash away tension but failed. Rows of metal chairs faced a long table where the review board sat, microphones waiting like judgment. Cameras lined the back wall. Reporters whispered. The air pulsed with quiet hostility. Ryan sat on the left, suit pressed, face blank. His lawyer, Carmen, whispered a last reminder. Stay composed. Own what's yours. Don't flinch. Across the aisle, Malik entered with Evelyn and the social worker beside him. He wore a navy shirt, hands trembling slightly but head high. The murmurs rippled as he took his seat. Ryan's eyes found him, a flicker of recognition, guilt, and something older. Blood that didn't know it belonged. The chairman cleared his throat. This disciplinary hearing will address the conduct of Officer Ryan Cole regarding the incident on Elm Street involving Malik Williams. The statement was procedural, but Malik could feel every gaze turned toward him, dissecting his skin, his calm, his pain. Ryan adjusted his tie. The room's silence sharpened as a video began to play on the monitor. Dashcam footage. The same street, the same instant. Ryan's voice echoed from the speaker's cold, commanding, hands on the hood. Don't move. The board watched, unmoving. The sound of Malik's breath, scared, uneven, filled the space. Then the image froze. Ryan's hand gripping Malik's arm. The chairman spoke again. Officer Cole, would you like to explain your actions? Ryan's throat tightened. No explanation makes it right. I reacted out of bias I didn't know I had, or maybe didn't want to admit I had. I failed my oath and my humanity. A pause, heavy and full. Carmen kept her gaze low. Malik's fingers clenched. The words felt rehearsed to clean, but the voice behind them wasn't. Ryan continued, quieter. I thought I was protecting people, but that day, I was the danger. The room stirred. A few officers in the back looked down. The chairman nodded slowly. Mr. Williams, you may speak. Malik stood. His heart hammered, but his voice didn't waver. When he pushed me, I wasn't scared of dying. I was scared that nobody would care if I did. The crowd hushed. I've been followed, questioned, doubted my whole life. That day wasn't new, but it was personal now, because the man who shoved me turned out to be family, and still couldn't see me as human first. Ryan's head lowered. Malik stepped closer to the microphone. I'm not here for revenge. I just want the system that made this normal to stop pretending it's fixed. If he really means what he said, he'll spend the rest of his life changing what he helped build. The chairman exchanged glances with the board. The decision came swift. Officer Ryan Cole is hereby suspended indefinitely, without pay pending internal review and recommended for public restitution. Through community service and racial bias reform programs, the gavel fell. Ryan didn't move. Malik didn't celebrate. Justice wasn't clean. It never was. Outside, the media swarmed. Lights flashed. Questions flew. Ryan, do you regret your actions? Malik, are you satisfied with the verdict? Neither answered. Malik turned to Evelyn. I just want to go home. Ryan watched from a distance, his lawyer urging him toward the car, but Malik paused, then walked toward him. For a heartbeat, silence cut through the chaos. Ryan spoke first. You were right. Consequences matter. Malik stared at him. They do, but they don't erase what you did. I know, Ryan said quietly, but maybe they can teach me who I should have been. Malik exhaled. Then start by being someone worth forgiving. He turned and walked away, the cameras flashing behind him like bursts of lightning. That night, Ryan sat alone in his car outside Helen's house. The porch light glowed weakly, rain streaking the windshield. He hadn't gone inside since the hearing. His phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. You'll never live this down. Traitor to your own badge. He deleted it, staring into the dark. The world he'd defended now wanted him gone. He reached for the old photo. Helen had given him 2 children in a hospital crib, one white, one black, both wrapped in the same blue blanket. Brothers before the world told them otherwise. He closed his eyes. For the first time in years, Ryan didn't feel like a cop. He felt like a man stripped bare, just trying to earn back the right to exist without hurting someone else. Across town, Malik sat by his window, city lights flickering through the rain. Evelyn was asleep. He replayed Ryan's words, his apology, the look in his eyes, not as an officer, but as something broken trying to rebuild. He whispered to the night, almost to himself, maybe that's where healing starts. A distant thunder rolled. Neither of them knew what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time, neither was running from the truth. 1 year later, the same city that once buzzed with outrage had gone quiet again, but not peaceful quiet, the kind that comes when people stop talking because they think the storm has passed. The school grounds stood calm beneath a gray sky. A new plaque glimmered near the entrance gate. Williams Learning Center, founded by Malik Wilia. Mess children. Laughter echoed through the hallways, the kind of sound that made the air lighter. Inside the freshly painted classroom, Malik adjusted a bookshelf. His shirt sleeves were rolled, a hint of chalk dust on his arm. Evelyn entered, holding 2 mugs of coffee. You've been here since dawn again. Old habits, he said, smiling faintly. Can't let the founder be late. She smirked. Founder and janitor, you mean? Maybe that's why the floor shines. They both laughed softly, but under the humor lived something deeper, a quiet pride. On the wall hung a framed newspaper article. From victim to visionary, janitor opens school for underprivileged youth. Malik didn't like the word victim. It wasn't wrong, just incomplete. He'd used his settlement money not for revenge, but for repair. The school stood where the old community center had burned down years ago, rebuilt with help from local volunteers, teachers, and kids who'd grown tired of waiting for someone else to care. But even here, ghosts lingered. At the edge of the playground, a familiar car pulled in. Malik froze, watching as Ryan stepped out in plain clothes, holding a box of supplies. No badge, no uniform, just a man. Evelyn noticed the stillness. You sure you're ready? Malik nodded once. Yeah, it's time. Ryan walked slowly across the yard. The kids paused, curious. He smiled awkwardly and set the box down near the door. Delivery for the founder, he said quietly. Malik studied him. You didn't have to come yourself. Ryan shook his head. I wanted to. The program I work with now, they're donating computers to schools like yours. Thought I should see one that matters. A long pause. Then Malik motioned toward the entrance. Come in. Inside, Ryan's gaze wandered. Bright posters, hand-drawn art, names of donors on the wall. He noticed the photo of Malik standing beside the ribbon at the opening ceremony. A small crowd, genuine smiles. You did this, Ryan said. We did this. Malik corrected. The community, people who stopped waiting for apologies. Ryan nodded. I'm part of one of those community reform projects now, working with trying to unlearn what we called training. Unlearn, Malik repeated. That's the hard part. It's the only part, Ryan replied. The two men stood in silence, the air between them, heavy once, now just human. A young student ran up to Malik. Mr. Williams, the projector's not working again. Malik smiled. I'll fix it. Ryan stepped forward. I can help. I used to be good with wiring. Malik hesitated, then handed him the cable. Then let's see if you still are. As they worked side by side, a few students peeked curiously. One whispered, "Who's he?" Malik glanced at Ryan, then answered, "Someone learning how to be better." Ryan's jaw tightened slightly, not from shame, but humility. Ryan followed his gaze. Outside, kids played tag across the yard, a small girl chasing a boy half her size, laughter scattering through the air like birds. Something in Ryan's chest eased for the first time in years. Later, after Ryan left, Malik sat in his office. Papers scattered, plans pinned to the wall, community tutoring program, after-school sports, parent support circle. He picked up a folder labeled Reform Outreach, Police Collaboration Proposal. For a moment, he stared at it. The irony didn't escape him. The man who'd been pushed against a wall now pushing the system to rebuild itself. He signed it. Outside, rain began again, soft, rhythmic, familiar. That evening, a local journalist interviewed him for a follow-up piece. What message do you want people to take from all this? Malik thought for a moment that redemption isn't a headline, it's work. Quiet work that nobody claps for. And Officer Cole, the reporter asked. Malik's expression didn't change. He's part of that work too. The journalist nodded, scribbling notes. Do you think the world is changing? Malik looked around the classroom. The books, the laughter echoing down the hall. Not fast enough. But maybe we're finally learning to listen. The camera light blinked off. For the first time, Malik didn't feel like a story. He felt like a start. Across town, Ryan stood at the community center gym, sweeping the floor after a youth workshop. He paused, phone buzzing with a notification, a photo posted from the Williams Learning Center's opening day. He stared at it a long time, then typed a quiet comment beneath it. Proud to know this place exists. No signature, no explanation, just truth. He looked around the gym, at the kids packing up equipment, laughing, unbothered by history. And for the first time, Ryan didn't think about the badge he lost. He thought about the kind of man he might still become. The projector blinked to life. A cheer went up. Ryan smiled. Looks like you don't need me here after all. Malik looked at the glowing screen. Maybe we both needed to be here. Ryan lowered his eyes. I don't expect forgiveness. Malik replied quietly. That's good, because forgiveness isn't the point. Ryan frowned. Then what is? Malik turned toward the classroom window, where sunlight finally broke through the clouds. Understanding. Without that, nothing changes. The morning air was unnervingly still, the kind that precedes storms or change. Malik stood before a packed auditorium inside his school, facing rows of students, parents, teachers, and a panel of local officials. The district had called a meeting on community safety and racial accountability. Ryan sat in the third row, plain clothes again, hands folded tight. His hair was shorter now. He looked older, not from age, but from weight, the kind of weight only truth gives. Malik's speech papers trembled slightly in his hands. He didn't like microphones. But this moment wasn't about comfort. It was about clarity. Evelyn whispered as she adjusted the mic. You don't owe them calm. I owe them honesty, Malik said quietly. When he stepped to the podium, the room hushed. Cameras blinked. He began without preamble. Last year, a police officer pushed me against a wall because of how I looked, not who I was. That same officer is sitting here today, not as a criminal, not as a hero, as a man trying to unlearn something we taught him. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Ryan's eyes lowered, steady but ashamed, but Malik continued, voice firm. This isn't a story about bad apples. It's a system that rots quietly while pretending to protect. A system where good people stay silent until someone bleeds loud enough to be heard. A few gasps, a few nods. Silence. He gestured toward the students seated in the front row. They deserve a world where they don't have to prove their innocence before they speak. Then, his tone softened, deliberate, human. I've spent too long being angry. Anger is easy. Building something better is harder. That's why we're here. He turned slightly toward Ryan. And that's why he's here too. All eyes turned. Ryan slowly rose from his seat, walked to the front, and took the stage beside Malik. For a brief second, their shoulders almost touched, two men bound by a single ugly truth. Ryan took a deep breath. My name is Ryan Cole. I was the officer involved in the incident last year. A wave of murmurs swept the room again. He continued, I don't expect forgiveness. What I did that day was a symptom of everything wrong with how I was trained, and how I chose not to question it. The words weren't smooth or rehearsed. They cracked raw in the air. I joined the force, believing I was protecting people, but I learned too late that you can't protect who you don't understand. A woman in the back shouted, so now you just get to talk about it. Ryan didn't flinch. No, I don't get to escape it. I just get to face it every day. He looked at Malik. And sometimes, if you're lucky, the person you hurt teaches you how to stand again. The crowd fell silent. Malik stepped forward. That's what this school stands for. Accountability isn't about shame. It's about work. You can't fix the system until you face the people it broke. A journalist in the corner muttered to his mic, powerful scene. Former officer admits wrongdoing publicly. Malik ignored it. This wasn't for headlines. He continued, we can't erase what happened, but we can decide what happens next. He gestured toward the side of the stage where a projector displayed plans for a new program. Community Reform Initiative, Youth and Police, Partnership. Gasps again. This was new, radical, risky. Every year, Malik said, officers and students will meet here, not to lecture, to listen, Ryan added, to learn the difference between authority and empathy. Applause rose, hesitant at first, then growing. The kind that wasn't just approval but release. Malik glanced at the clock. Noon, same hour as the day he was pushed. He smiled faintly. Symmetry, poetic and quiet. After the meeting, the crowd filtered out. A few shook Ryan's hand cautiously. Some still refused to look at him. That was fine. Redemption isn't consensus. Evelyn approached Malik. You realize what you just started? Yeah, he said. Something that won't end with me. She grinned. You really think the system will listen? He exhaled. They don't have to. The kids already are. Outside, rain began, soft but steady. Malik stepped under it, letting the drops soak his shirt. Ryan followed. For a long moment, neither spoke. The world around them blurred gray sky, puddles reflecting neon light from a nearby diner. Finally, Ryan said quietly, when I pushed you that day, I thought I was teaching a lesson. Malik looked at him. You were, just not the one you meant. Ryan nodded. I don't know if I can make it right. You can't, Malik said flatly, but you can make it matter. They stood in silence, the rain washing old noise away. A car drove by, splashing water across their shoes. Neither moved. Ryan spoke again, voice low. You know what I realized? You were the only one who ever called me by my first name after it happened. Malik turned to him. Names are how we start over. Ryan extended his hand, not for forgiveness, for recognition. Malik took it, firm, unshaken. That night, local news ran the story under a soft headline, School Founder and Former Officer Unite for Reform. Some mocked it, others shared it with cautious hope. But to Malik, none of that mattered, because the next morning, when the first bell rang, 50 kids showed up early, notebooks open, questions ready. They weren't scared of uniforms anymore. They were learning what change looked like. Uncomfortable, imperfect, possible, and somewhere between that rain-soaked handshake and the new morning light, the city exhaled, not healed, but breathing again. Later, Malik walked the empty halls. The floors glowed beneath the flickering light. He paused at a classroom door where someone had taped a quote in big letters. Justice begins when someone stops running. He smiled, not because it was perfect, but because it was true. Outside, the rain stopped. Sunlight cracked through clouds, spilling gold across the playground. A small boy chased his sister across the field, laughter slicing through the air. Malik watched them, hand resting lightly on the window frame. For the first time in years, the world didn't feel divided, just unfinished and still worth building.